present. Let's stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance.
Ahead of the game.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, kicking us off tonight, we'll have the Spotlight for Success. Mr. Craig Most, I believe, is up to present here on the operations. Welcome.
Hi, Craig.
Hello. About a year ago, I did a presentation on operations, and I did an overall summary of what we do, and I intentionally, at that point, left out the Fitness and Aquatic Center. Part of the reason was we were undergoing some big change in that area. We were having some difficulties with staffing, and so I'm going to introduce Megan Giesen. She's been with us since we brought the Fitness and Aquatic Center on board. She is the supervisor for that area, and she's got a presentation that she'd like to go over with you and give you some info.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity to present tonight. I'm excited to share some stats, information, and highlights from the Fitness and Aquatic Center. To me, it's really a community that I'm tremendously proud of. We've built it over the last almost 6 years, so I'm excited to share some details with you guys. This is some current membership data as of August 2024. So August typically is more of a down month for fitness facilities, as a lot of people like to go outside. August is also a month where a lot of family vacations take place and our college students start to go back. However, I still think we are doing pretty well. We have over 350 active Medicare program members. So Medicare supplement programs offer free memberships to their members. And then we in turn receive reimbursement for their visits. So we have over 350 members that are actively utilizing the facility. Kind of the same thing, we have 45 members who have a benefit through their insurance or their employer. So they pay a nominal fee to their insurance or employer, and then we in turn get reimbursed for their visits. So we have a little over 45 of those members. Then paid memberships, we have approximately 1,751 memberships, including single, senior, youth, dual senior, dual regular, and family memberships. Downside of our system is it does not calculate exactly how many actual members we have, so I estimated our total memberships for families having about 5 per household. We also have some staff members that utilize their benefits through the Fitness and Aquatic Center, so all together we are right over 2,400 total members at this point. Any questions?
Do you guys still do silver sneakers?
Yes, so Silver Sneakers is one of the Medicare programs that we offer in addition to Renew Active, NPAS, and Silver and Fit. So there's 4 different branches that we work with.
And that's 64?
Yes, so you have to be 65
See you February.
to be eligible.
I'll be there.
Everyone gets really excited as that date approaches.
Yeah, for sure.
Any other questions? Just some interesting visit and staff data. Over the past year, starting mid-August last year to mid-August this year, we had almost 94,000 member check-ins.
Wow.
We also had over 7,500 total daily admission guests, which was not including our Kids Go visits this summer, which was a little over 1,200 additional visits. I'm proud to lead a team of 104 staff members. Our core team, if you will, includes an aquatics coordinator who's half-time, a group fitness coordinator who's half-time, and then our FAC assistant who works 30 hours a week. So the 4 of us do a lot of the planning and coordinating for the FAC. As you can see, majority of our staff members are made up of lifeguards and group fitness instructors. So a lot of part-time staff are employed at the FAC. And we are truly blessed. Every time I put a job posting up, I get a little nervous, but every time I'm like a broken record saying, how did we get so lucky? We found another great person. So. I think I skipped over a slide. Maybe not. Okay. As I was stating before,
Been a group fitness class, is it slide in there? I don't know why. it's
yes,
not, but-
I think, yeah, that's the one I skipped over. So group fitness really is a core service that we provide to our members, and I think it sets us apart from our local competitors. We offer over 40 group fitness classes a week in 20 different formats. So like different strength opportunities, different yoga formats, Tai Chi, TRX, and a lot of different senior offerings as well. So we pride ourselves in our group fitness classes. It draws in a lot of different members. We have a lot of trained and certified instructors. So they do a phenomenal job at making our classes, making everyone feel comfortable, no matter what age they are, or what fitness level they are. They do a great job of offering different options for people to feel comfortable. Another highlight of the Fitness and Aquatic Center is our senior groups. This group has really exploded over the last 5 years. We've seen tremendous growth. Currently, we have over 425 senior members who actively utilize the facility. So therefore, we've really grown in our programming for the senior base, including group fitness classes. The mid-morning time slot, if you ever come and visit, is just booming with retired people and people with flexible work schedules. We currently offer 7 different group fitness formats that are geared just toward the senior population. And we have more than a dozen classes offered more specifically toward them each week. We also have collaborative activities with community ed. It's been a lot of fun, and we continue to try new things with community ed. We did a summer picnic this year, and then we look forward to a Christmas concert with them as well. And pretty much every day you'll see a group sitting outside before and after class enjoying coffee. Lastly, just a few highlights, new programs, and upcoming events. I wanted to note we have a very positive relationship with Mantis Swim Club. We're coming up on about a year since Mantis started renting pool space, and it's been going great, and we look forward to continue to collaborate with them. Our fall swim lessons are going well. I just counted we had over 160 enrollments and over the course of just 2 evenings. So we have a lot of full classes. One thing that I'm really looking forward to and excited about is our new after-school program that will start. The fall session will start September 9th, and we'll also be doing a winter and a spring session. So with some of the middle school sports getting cut, we are wanting to provide an option for youth in our community to be active after school. So we just hired some phenomenal high school students who will help lead this program. And so we're looking forward to kicking it off in a few weeks. Another thing we're also looking forward to is trying a new sampler event this fall, where we'll host some sample group fitness classes, we'll have some refreshments, we'll have tours available, and a membership sale. So that will be taking place on Saturday, October 26th, along with lots of other exciting and fun things. Any questions?
I'd just like to make a comment. My wife personally enjoys these times at the fitness center. She goes twice for aerobics and does yoga once a week as well. And she likes it very much. It's very well run. She appreciates the opportunity. And it's a nice social outing for her,
It
too.
is. It
Really,
truly
it's,
is. Yes. Like I said, it's a great little community.
And someday
really-
I might participate, but right now, as long as I've got the farm and the orchard keeping me busy, I'll use that as my exercise. But it's great.
Yeah. Thank you.
I came through one day when they were doing coffee and cards here. Oh my gosh. It was just the greatest thing ever because they were just so into it. And I thought, I want to play euchre, but thank God I'm not old enough yet. Okay, I'm going to go home. But they were so into it and they were so excited to be with each other. That just made me feel good.
Yes,
So you're doing a
exactly.
great job.
Yes. Thank you.
Anything else? I just want to add couple things. On the bottom of her slide there, this has been 6 years in the making, and we've gone through some pretty tough times through this thing with COVID and the rest of it. And just a credit to Megan and her staff that she has worked with. They've pulled through this thing. We've been criticized a lot because it's an expensive thing. Obviously, we're still not in the black, but we're doing everything we can to try to get there. But we're looking at it now as an amenity for the community, I think, more than anything right now. Excuse me. And just going back to this place is turning into more like a hub for senior citizen people. Not just senior citizens, I shouldn't say that, but I see it every day in my office window. I see them coming in there every day, and there's really nowhere else for them to go. And they come here and they're religiously attending, and they hang out here for a long time. And they stumble into the office area once in a while, and it's kind of funny sometimes.
Maybe we start charging by the hour or something.
Good idea. And that's a credit to Megan and the staff that she's put together, for sure, so.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Megan. Thank
you.
Thanks.
All right, next on the agenda is the open forum portion. Tom, you can step up. I'll just read our normal statement that we always have before open forum. But meetings are recorded and it can be viewed by accessing the school board page on the district website. If you have submitted an online request to speak during the open forum, you were notified earlier about your amount of time. That should be 5 minutes per individual. Please be advised the board will not respond to your topic at this meeting. If your comment requires follow-up, me as the board chair or administration or direction will get back to you as appropriate. So go ahead, Tom.
In September of 2022, Board Member Steinhoff is quoted in the New Prague Times saying, "Parents, teachers, kids, school board members, and community members have a right to be heard by the school board on issues that concern them. Our job as school board members is to listen, investigate, contemplate, and then decide." In addition to Ms. Steinhoff's comments, Board Member Bartuszczyk is quoted in the New Prague Times as saying, "I'm a strong believer in representing all people involved when serving on boards and keep my personal feelings out." After watching the video of the July 15 school board meeting and the discussion regarding the verbiage in a policy that Board Member Call had concerns with, Board Member Steinhoff interrupted and cut Board Member Call off nearly 20 times. Not only did she repeatedly interrupt him and cut him off, she also used what clearly sounds like a rather snarky tone of voice with him at times. Board Member Steinhoff's conduct, while Board Member Call was trying to speak, clearly contradicts the platform she ran on. She not only said board members have a right to be heard, but she also said it's the responsibility of board members to listen, investigate, contemplate, and decide. She certainly did not follow through with any of those things on July 15th. As for Board Member Bartuszczyk, time and time again, you make snide comments regarding Board Member Call's position on various topics, when his ideologies don't seem to align with yours. Yet 2 years ago, you told the New Prague Times while you were running for the board, you would keep your personal feelings out of things. You too have been unable to follow through on your platform, which you ran. What's even more troubling about the way board members Bartuszczyk and Steinhoff conducted themselves during the July 15 school board meeting is the fact that they clearly violated school district policy number 209, the board's code of ethics. I'm going to highlight a few places where I believe you both failed to uphold the code of ethics. As a member of the school board, I will listen to the opinions and views of others, including, but not limited to, other school board members, administration, staff, students, and community members. To maintain relations with other board members of the school board, I will respect the rights of others to have and express opinions. In fulfilling my legal obligations as a school board member, I will comply with all school district policies as adopted by the school board. Clearly, you did not follow the last part when you violated the policy and not listen. As board members, you may have had the opportunity to communicate with one another prior to the meeting about some of the concerns Mr. Call was expressing during the meeting on July 15th. However, when you continually interrupt him and cut him off, it prevents his constituents from fully hearing him express his concerns on whatever topic might be on the table. The conduct of Mr. Bartuszczyk and especially Ms. Steinhoff on July 15th was not only a disservice to Mr. Call, but also to the residents of the New Prague Area School District, because their conduct prevented us from hearing what Mr. Call wanted to say. I would ask board members Bartuszczyk and Steinhoff to figure out how they can serve on the school board while treating everyone, including those with differing beliefs and ideologies, with respect and dignity, and to do so with honor and integrity. If you two can't figure it out and how to serve in this capacity, then you need to step down because you don't have what it takes to serve on a governing board such as a school board. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to the next part of the agenda is the consent agenda. So I would entertain a motion to approve approval of the agenda first. I would. So move. Yep.
Second.
First and second, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries 7-0. The consent agenda, I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
And first and second, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries 7-0. Board committee reports. First off, Southwest Metro Intermediate District.
Southwest Metro had their first meeting with their new superintendent last Tuesday, and we were all very impressed with some of the good ideas that he brought forward and the demeanor that he has carried into his job. He's been on it for over a month now, going on 2 months, and he's looking like a very good new superintendent.
What's
for
his name
our-
again?
Jeff Horton. Thank you for asking. I was going to bring that up. It's always nice after you've gone through the process of selecting somebody to have them kind of live up to what you're hoping that they will. And we're looking forward to some great times in the future at Southwest Metro. Thank you.
Perfect. CPAC,
No meeting.
okay. Community Ed,
No meeting.
Early Childhood,
No meeting.
Joint Powers,
Mine won't be better than the one before, so.
all right. Equity Committee,
No meaning.
okay. District Advisory Committee,
No meeting.
nothing yet, okay.
Could I ask a question about the equity?
Sure, yeah.
Who will be involved in chairing that now before? Person. I'll repeat that question. We had a person that ran the Equity Committee and chaired it, and that person has gone on to another school district. So my question was, who will be in charge of running that committee?
That's a really good question at this point. That job has been posted for some time. We've actually posted it twice in various forums. We're not getting a lot of candidates, is my understanding, for that position. We will have to get the community up and running, and so we'll have to have some temporary people. We have not identified who that's going to be just yet.
Thank you.
All right, and the last is New Prague Area Education Foundation. I'll just comment, Andy, you probably have something in your update, but I'll just comment. Summer Social was last Thursday, which is their major annual fundraiser, which I think was a success from all accounts, whether it was fun or money raised. I think it was a great time to get the foundation into more people's minds, and I think about 140 people attended. I haven't heard the final dollars raised, but I know that there was a live auction, silent auction, and then a bucket raffle to get individuals opening their wallets. So, but no, it was a great event. I know a lot of us were able to attend. So, Andy, go ahead on the good news.
Yeah, I would
So-
I would just add to Mr. Boothie and the Education Foundation, a lot of staff members, a lot of community members. I know they're still, calculating the amount of money raised, but it was a lot of opportunities to have fellowship, connect with others and raise some money, and it was a great way to kick off the year, so thank you, starting with that. We were grateful to welcome back students into buildings. We're grateful to do it throughout the week. We started with our middle school students and freshmen at the high school today. I had the opportunity to help a sixth grader who was new to the middle school open his locker today. I felt his pain for a while. It had been a while, but it brought me back, and I'm not so good at it myself, but we got it taken care of. I was at the high school for a little while, and I was able to see the Link crew leaders and just the energy and the spirit that they had and how proud they were to be there as student leaders, welcoming the freshmen for their first day. And as I said, on Thursday, great starts don't happen. They happen because of the tens of thousands of decisions that have had to been made from the end of last year to the beginning of this year. And so many, many thanks to all those people who work in those departments who work behind the scenes, our clerical, our transportation, our buildings and grounds, our administration, our teacher leaders, so on and so forth. The great starts don't just happen. So thank you to everyone who helped make at least the first day successful. We had a great in-service last week. We had our district-wide celebration. Thank you for many of you who could be there last Thursday. We welcomed 18 licensed staff members to our school district the week prior. Educational Services did a really nice job of giving them foundational information and making them feel welcomed, giving them information so that they don't have to have it all figured out, especially those brand new teachers, but having enough information to be able to be successful in their job. And then many, many thanks to the New Prague Rotary, who last Thursday afternoon at Trojan Stadium, not as warm as it was today, thankfully, but served lunch again for all of our staff. And I think it was right around 450 staff. So that's a pretty big undertaking by the Rotary in New Prague, who's always so supportive. So, and then lastly, my comments were about the summer social, which I thought was very well attended. It was a great event and always a great way to kick off the school year. So thank you.
I just want to add that the opening for the new teachers, I was able to go and Kim was able to go, and we were both here. And I just want to thank Tony Boothie for making the brand new teachers, who are obviously scared to death, feel so welcome and so open to taking questions and whatever they need. He made sure that they felt like they were welcomed here enough. So the fact that we have a lot of brand new teachers, I think, is a really big deal. And I think he made them feel welcome enough to be able to ask whatever questions they had. Thanks, Tony.
All right. Next part is the reports and discussion items, which we just have one, the first reading of policies.
Here we go. Let's see. Policy 403, discipline, suspension, and dismissal of school district employees. This is a legislative policy. The purpose of this policy is to achieve effective operation of the school district's programs through the cooperation of all employees under a system of policies and rules applied fairly and uniformly. There are minimal changes proposed to this policy. I'll just ask for questions or clarifications on 403. Dan?
Nope.
Kim?
No.
Mark?
No.
Matt?
No.
Jean?
No.
Denny?
No comments.
All right. Policy 545, graduation fee policy. This is a New Prague area schools policy. There's no matching policy because this is specific to our school district. Purpose of the policy is to defray the cost of graduation by having the graduation participants pay the portion of graduation expenses that are not the responsibility of the school district by state law. There are no language changes proposed to this policy. It is as stated as it always was. I'll ask for questions or clarifications on 545. Denny?
None.
Jean?
No.
Matt?
No.
Mark?
No.
Kim?
No.
Dan?
Nope.
Policy 610, field trips. This is legislative. The purpose of this policy is to provide guidelines for student trips and to identify the general process to be followed for review and approval of trip requests. There are minimal language changes proposed to this policy. I'll ask for questions and clarifications on 610. Dan?
Nope.
Kim?
No.
Mark?
No.
Matt?
No.
Jean?
No.
Denny?
None.
Policy 702, accounting. This is a legislative policy. The purpose of this policy is to adopt the Uniform Financial Accounting and Reporting Standards for Minnesota School Districts, the UFARs, provided for in the guidelines adopted by the Minnesota Department of Education. There are minimal changes proposed to this policy. Sandy Lynn has reviewed all of the changes and all of the language, and she approves the language as it is written. Questions or clarifications on 702? Dan?
Nope.
Kim?
No.
Mark?
No.
Matt?
Nope.
Jean?
No.
Denny?
No.
705, investment. This is also a legislative policy. The purpose of this policy is to establish guidelines for the investment of school district funds. There are minimal changes proposed for this policy. Sandy Lynn has reviewed and approved the language as written. I'll ask for questions or clarifications on 705. Denny?
None.
Jean?
No.
Matt?
Nope.
Mark?
No.
Kim?
No.
Dan?
Nope.
Policy 714, fund balances. Again, this is legislative. The purpose of this policy is to create new fund balance classifications to allow for more useful fund balance reporting and for compliance with the reporting guidelines specified in Statement Number 54 of the Governmental Accounting Standards Board. That's GASB, G-A-S-B. There are minimal changes proposed to this policy. Again, Sandy Lynn has reviewed it and approves of the language as written. I'll ask for questions or clarifications on 702. Dan?
Nope.
Kim?
No, you mean
Mark.
714.
Sorry, yes,
that's
sorry.
Yep, just
Dan-
clarify.
Kim? There you go. Mark?
No.
Matt?
Nope.
Jean?
No.
Danny? That's it.
All right. Action items. First on the list is revised 24-25 district calendar. You want to?
Yeah, I can introduce this. I have some background. Do you mind if I go first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. Okay. So the date at hand is, I believe it's Tuesday. I think it's a Tuesday. I know it's October 29th. We've held this for some time because the first two are kind of intertwined. We were trying to understand what, if anything, we need to do calendar-wise per the READ Act and the legislative change. But with regards to October 29th, the middle school expressed a concern at the end of the Planning for Success process about just the number of slots that they had to conference with their students because of the model change. Again, so we've had this information for some time. We were just trying to make them as seamless as possible. The high school agreed to do one half day of PD on the 29th and then conferencing on the second half of the day and into the evening. The change would be that there would be no school secondary at all on the 29th, so the middle school could conference all day because they need more slots to conference. Because of that, there would not be a half day of school at the high school. They would change that to PD. It seems to work for both groups. And again, we've held on to this. This isn't new, but we wanted to make sure that we brought all calendar changes at one time, so that they would align together.
Any questions or comments?
I'll make a motion to approve the changes.
Second.
That's what I meant to say. Go ahead.
Been first and second. Any additional comments or questions? Hearing none. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
I will also be handling the READ Act, though if I look to my left in a panic, I'll have Maren and Tony jump up. We received, so the READ Act was something that we knew was coming, and Maren and her team did a great job to really figure out how to make the READ Act work. So at the end of the legislative session, I don't remember the exact timing, we were notified that we were going to receive about $147,000, $146,836 to be specific, that needed to be spent on the READ Act training. State statute required that school districts and their local associations enter into an MOU, regarding how these funds could be spent. Because we had already made a plan where that these training days were built into our calendar, because we were acting on the information that we had at that time, we decided that 93% of the funds will be spent on teacher salaries, taking training during their duty days. This will go into the general fund because we already had a plan where these days were taken offline and teachers were going to do that training. Teachers were compensated 5 hours because of some double duty, if you will, on August 20th. And the MOU spells out which days are in-person versus asynchronous, who is required to participate in the training, opportunities for credit recognition, and what will happen if they don't complete the required training.
I'd entertain a motion to approve that.
So moved.
Second?
And first and second, any comments, any questions regarding that MOU? Hearing none, I would, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Next one's MOU on online learning instructors.
Yes, so and Mr. Thorsted's going to come up front, and he has a presentation that he's going to share with you, just as a little context. One of the challenges one of the first challenges that came across my desk when I started in the spring of '23, but didn't take office until the summer of '23, was that we recognized how problematic it was that students were taking online classes and then thus hurting our revenue stream, because students equal our funding. And so Mr. Thorsted and the team at the high school went to work to kind of create some creative solutions to do our best to, we can't stop online learning. It's going to take place whether we like it or not. My preference would be students to come in the building all the time. It's not necessarily realistic in 2024. And so what Mr. Thorsted will share with you is an overview of kind of some of the stats, what they did last year, the new stats that I think show some that are very promising, and then why this MOU is necessary. So take it away.
Thank you. Thanks for having me this evening. As we review a little bit of online learning, I think Dr. Volmuth did a great job of summarizing kind of where we were, I guess, before we get into this slide. I think the big piece to be thinking about with online learning is our goal to have every student attend classes in person. We do know that and recognize that online learning format is the right format, and we also recognize there's a significant amount of school choice in the state of Minnesota. And so on the next slide, I'd like to just present a little bit of information as just so we have a little bit of historical context. So if we look at our 2022 and 2023 school year, during the course of the school year, we had our students at New Prague High School took 327 classes online. All of those credits, all of those classes were earned outside of our school district because we didn't have any sort of a mechanism or system to be able to support our students with online learning here in the New Prague Area School District. And so that total cost to the district was just under $200,000, as you can see on this slide. As Dr. Volmuth stated, about a year ago, last summer, we did take a look at what are some solutions we could do to start to, it's important that we're responsive to students' needs and the current trends in education. And so we did put together a program to introduce online learning in New Prague, and to be able to support that. We certainly recognized it was not perfect at the time, but we did decide that it was the right move to move forward to see if we couldn't be able to support our students with high quality learning that we've come to expect in New Prague for our students in online learning. And so, as you can see, we put in some guardrails, which I'll go over in just a little bit here. But our total classes did reduce last year. It went from 327 to 246 total classes, and our cost was reduced to just under $80,000 total, for a total savings of just under $118,000 that we retained in the district versus having all of that funding leave our school district. And so we were very happy on two components. Number one, we felt like we were able to provide our students with a high quality learning opportunity. And number two, we were also able to keep a significant amount of that funding that was leaving our district within our district. As I said, one of the important things we wanted to address was making sure that we have some guardrails to support students, to make sure that we have high quality, rigorous learning opportunities for our students. And so as we move forward into this upcoming school year, these are some of the guardrails that we have placed. We will be requiring that students complete 80% of the coursework within every course in order to earn a credit, and we will be requiring that all students are taking their final exams through online learning in person, and that will be supported through our testing center at the high school. if a student fails an online course, again, I think the guardrail is the right word for this, because if a student fails an online course, we definitely want to have something put in place where we have a conversation about, okay, what didn't go well? Why didn't this format work for us? And so we will be requiring that students meet in person with an administrator or counselor to discuss what went well or what did not go well. If they failed the class, something didn't work right. And so we want to make sure that we have supports for them moving forward to ensure that that's the right learning environment. If not on pace, students are required to follow a certain pace for each course. If they are not on pace, we will ask that students come in person to a study hall. Obviously, students, we do have enrollment expectations, so students may be dropped from a course or lose privileges such as senior privileges if adequate progress is not maintained. We do expect our online learning students to finish their coursework just that week prior to the last week of school, just to ensure we have enough time to make sure to follow through with those credit inventories and credit checks and those pieces to make sure that they have a pathway towards graduation, so that's not a last minute thing. We do have an online permission form that parents and students must complete to verify. We believe it's extremely important that any student enrolling in an online course, there's open conversation with their parents or guardians to make sure that parents and guardians are on board and support their child in that learning environment. And so we do have those pieces set up before any type of enrollment can occur. Our counselors verify that information via email, most of the time over the phone, to be very honest with you, just in verifying that the parent or guardian is in support of that. And then one thing we started last year that we actually found to be highly effective is that our assistant principals at the high school, Mr. Wetchka and Ms. Meyer, run an online learning, it's a Google Meet, so they do 5 at the beginning of each semester. So 5 at the beginning, they're running those meetings right now. They had 2 today, and then they run 5 at the beginning of semester 2 as well. And it's just an educational meeting with parents who have never had their children take an online course. And the rationale for that is to talk about and go through with families some of the information about these are the items that will help, these are the habits and types of study habits that will help to make sure students are successful in this environment, so that as a family, parents are thinking ahead about those things before their child ends up there. They also are taking an opportunity on one slide to talk about the financial impacts on our school district, just as an educational tool to make sure all parents who are enrolling their children in online learning, which we do know and recognize is a positive environment for certain students in certain situations, but that it improves that parent education standpoint as well. So those are some of the guardrails we've put up just to be able to support our students in high quality learning in an online environment. When we look at grading and assessment, the amount of time it does take to grade and assess online learning really does vary based on the course, and it's dependent on several factors, which you can see below. It depends on the specific course content. Just like any other course, how many times a teacher has taught a single course, they often gain efficiencies as the more, when it's after our first times teaching a course. The course completion rate, number of students taking the same class, and the types of assessments and assignments in each unit. Those are all factors that play into how much time it takes teachers to grade and assess the work in an online environment. We do estimate that will take each teacher approximately 2 to 5 hours per week to grade and assess the work that their students are submitting. And I think just some of the big takeaways with which Dr. Volmuth did already speak to just a little bit is thinking about online learning is an option that's out there and available to our students. Our goal is to always build those relationships with students and be able to see a student in the hallway and have one of our staff members speak with a student about their progress in an online class. We truly feel like those personal relationships can be leveraged to academic success, and that's one of the big pieces that we're trying to do here with our program. We celebrate the fact that our overall online enrollment at New Prague High School is extremely low right now. Well, obviously, as we've stated multiple times, we'll continue to prioritize in-person learning as we move forward, and that's why some of the guardrails have been put in place to support families, but also recognize that in certain situations, an online learning option is something that's important to be available to students. And it's our goal that we continue to support a high-quality, rigorous education through online learning. And so those are that's just some of the information about online learning at New Prague High School. We did the MOU that's before you this evening for consideration we met with New Prague Ed, Minnesota. Sandy Lynn and I did over the summer and worked collaboratively to develop this MOU because we truly believe it will be best to have our content area specialists grading the specific work of our students, and we believe that this is a more sustainable model to move forward. We certainly began a program last year. We saw the potential success for that program, and now we want to make sure that we're able to sustain that moving forward in future years.
If I may just add a couple more things. Saving one student on online learning equals about $8,700 in additional revenue. And then this MOU will sunset when the new contract is signed, somewhere between the 2025-27 contract year. So this will have to be negotiated at that point.
Okay.
Brian, am I right in saying that all the classes are basically elective classes? Are there any required classes that are taken online?
There are some required courses that are taken online, and those are very specific situations. Our counselors, I have to commend our counselors. They do a phenomenal job in supporting our students. It's a very rare case that it's a required course that's taken, like an English language arts piece or something like that, but there are occasions where that does occur.
Thank you.
Does this only happen during the school year, or can a student take an online class during the summer?
Yeah, right now it's only during the school year.
Okay.
This same program is used to support some of our summer school or extended school year opportunities as well through credit recovery.
Okay. Do the students get pass-fail? Do they get grades? And do the grades apply to GPAs?
They do receive grades, correct.
Thank you.
Yep.
Do you have any preliminary numbers on semester one at this point?
I do. They're still in flux, to be honest with you, because schedules are still being finalized as schedule changes occur. Right now, it looks like we would have approximately, again, very rough number, but about as of this afternoon, we were looking at 55 Edmentum courses at the high school,
Okay.
which is a decrease from last year at semester one time.
Do the students take a course and then take other courses in the school?
Absolutely.
So during that
Absolutely.
hour, do they go home? Do they go to the media center? Do they?
All of the above.
Okay.
It really,
Okay,
in
so they're
all
allowed to
sincerity,
leave
it really
campus.
depends, yes.
Okay.
Students are allowed to leave campus, some students will go home. It really depends on the uniqueness of each high school student's schedule and the way that lays out in their 7-period day.
Okay,
Yep.
thanks.
Yeah.
What are we doing to evaluate the outcomes in comparison to our in-person classes and our online class offerings? Do we have any opinion yet on the level of student learning that's occurring in both of those environments, and are they roughly equivalent? Are we noticing that the online performance is worse, better, or?
Yeah, so we did take a look at that actually. The way the grades lay out as far as grades earned in the classes really represents pretty accurately what's happened in person. When you look at a pie chart, I guess I'm sorry that I didn't include that slide, but if you can envision this, if we think about 65 to 70%, and again, I'm estimating off the cuff here.
That's fair.
But would be in that A and B range, and then a smaller percentage in that C range, and a much lower percentage in the D and F range as far as what grade was earned. So we have monitored that piece. The other piece that we're excited about moving forward is to be able to get more feedback from our staff. Just keeping in mind, we've used this program for a number of years for credit recovery and other areas of our district. So we're very familiar with the level of rigor that's provided within it, and we do feel pretty good about that. When we talked, relationships is what we try to do. We're in that business. And so when we talk with students who are in you know, it's different areas, whether it's our upper media center last year, looking at the work they were doing. Students were putting in a huge amount of time on these classes. It wasn't something that was easy for them by any means.
So if I understand correctly, to get kind of back brief, we think we're getting similar educational outcomes on our online offerings as in comparison to what's happening on our in-person offerings. Is that a true?
As of right now, based on what we're seeing so far, I think so. I think, you know, year by year, it'll be that will be an important metric to be watching.
And then if they're at parity as far as outcome for the student, what's the reason that we're reluctant to encourage and use more of this? You know, it sounds like we're really leery of saying, "Hey, we have this. Let's maybe even encourage some students to be using it." And you know, so with the outcome there, what is the reason we're kind of reluctant to encourage more of it as we develop it out?
Sure, that's fair. I don't necessarily know that we're not in the really position to discourage the use of online learning. At the end of the day, we know that I think many students are highly successful when they're able to see their teacher in person every single day. And I really think it's just a wide variety of different factors that have to be considered. And that's kind of what drives all of the work we've done here, is to really try to partner with families. It's not our role to let them to encourage one thing over the other. But at the end of the day, we certainly know that online learning is something that's definitely prevalent throughout the state of Minnesota. It's not something that's a secret by any means. But at the same time, we want to make sure for most students, we truly believe if you're able to see that teacher in person on Tuesday and we forgot to turn that assignment in on Monday, that's a convenient reminder, right? When they walk in the door, hey, so-and-so, can we please make sure to get that assignment turned in? That piece is always just very convenient in-person learning, but it certainly doesn't discourage online learning, because we fully recognize online learning is a highly successful environment for certain students in certain situations.
Well, I would also add, if I may, that I think the guardrails that we're trying to put in place are important. We would like to funnel our students to online programs that we recommend, so that we have more of an understanding of what their experience is. And so if they're going to multiple online programs, which they have the right to do, but if we can kind of create some partnerships and some pathways, if you will, to add momentum. And I'd also like Mr. Thorsted to talk a little bit about our work with Southwest Metro, if you don't mind, and the letters that were sent out to,
absolutely.
And I'm forgetting the name of the program, Elevate.
Elevate.
Trying to, if they're going to take an online program that isn't this, trying to send them to the Southwest Metro partnership that we have, because we understand the program, we understand the rigor in some of those questions, and then we can study it as well if they're going into one or two places rather than a multitude of places. There's a funding component as well, but do you want to say anything more about Elevate? I guess I kind of teed that up and then I ran with it.
Ran with it just wonderfully, so thank you very much.
Can I add one thing before you go, Brian?
The shameless plug, excuse me. Yeah.
I would say, concerning online learning, having 4 kids graduated from high school recently, that there are so many intangibles that you learn about life in general by being there physically, that I think it would be a disservice to push online learning, although I think in instances it can be a great tool. But if you really want kids to get a full experience and help expose them for all the things they're going to encounter in their life, coming to a school is the way to do it.
It's a unique need for some students. Some students don't do well in the typical school setting, so this is a very viable option for some students who have difficulty in the traditional school environment for whatever reason.
Do we have, oh, go ahead.
Just if I may, those students have those unique circumstances where we commend the counseling department for helping them find a class that maybe they can't fit into their schedule for whatever reason. So I think the other thing too is it challenges us to kind of rethink our systems and how we're using our staff. And again, I think the high school has done a nice job of understanding there was a concern, kind of given some options for our students, and I think they're high-quality options, but it does force us to rethink how we use our resources and how we create those guardrails on the fly, if you will. So nothing that is means we should stop doing it, because I do think it's not going to stop. It's only going to accelerate. But we want to keep them in New Prague as much as we possibly can.
I really like that we're being progressive in our thinking, in that, you know, we can push against this as much as we want to, but it's coming at us. And so the idea that you jumped on this and said, okay, we're gonna do something that makes sense for us, that makes sense for me too. Are there still students who go to other online schools and then want to get our diplomas? Is it difficult then to figure out whether those standards of those classes meet our standards, our grad standards?
If students are taking online courses elsewhere, those credits transfer in, and we would follow our policies that are credit for learning policy that would dictate how to do that.
Okay.
And so we certainly have that occurs, and not all students go into our Admentum program, and that's part of having school choice in the state of Minnesota. And so I think in being responsive to our students' needs, and sometimes it's students tell us what that is verbally, sometimes the data tells us what that is, and in this case we saw a huge amount of an increased enrollment, and so it's important to be responsive to our students' needs, and we wanted to make sure to provide an option that's of high quality here in our district, and so that's what we've sought out to do.
I want to commend you for being responsive to what the students need, what our students need, and moving forward rather than just sitting still.
That's
Thank
really
you.
the bottom line.
Yeah, I think so
It's
too.
the student need that's being met. That's the bottom line.
I'm very impressed.
And I don't think that we were that we're really reluctant about it. I think the ideal of the online classes is to get as many people to take them through New Prague High School in some format versus outside of it.
Yeah, and I would just suggest something we should be looking at for the future is, I think the thing that makes you most competitive in the online space is there's a lot of people that are offering just purely online classes, and your most constrained resources is your licensed teachers. And so if you can move some of your instruction time off to these online resources successfully without harming the students, that gives you more flexibility on what you can do with the FaceTime that they have with licensed instructors. And if you're, as a high school, with your online classes, are providing in-person assistance when they get stuck and some of those things, I think that's the place where you get the best value, where you can help students with their outcomes, use your human resources and the money you have most effectively, and set yourself apart from every other online option that's out there. And so I would encourage us, as we continue to develop this, to think about because the thing that we do that's different than everybody else is we have the ability to offer some of these people in-person experiences that other onlines can't. And if we use them wisely, we can get the best most cost-effective delivery on some of our education to free up our resources and the money we have available for some other high-quality in-person experiences. And so that's how I look at online is, how do I develop it into a hybrid to move some things to that more aggressively, and then use the human resources that we have in person to do higher elevated stuff that the computer can handle in many regards.
Well, I appreciate everything you're managing that way, and the transparency really is wonderful. So thank you for doing that, as well as the counselors that are meeting with the students and the families. So effective, because we're in a place where knowledge is power for people, and until they have all their rocks turned over, they are a little bit handicapped in making their decisions. So it's just wonderful that you're exposing it all. And I just have more of a curious question. How does our district compare with other districts in the state? Percentage of online learning, do we have those stats at all?
You know, I don't have comparative stats. We're very fortunate right now that many districts have much higher online enrollment. I can give one rough stat that, you know, if we think in very round numbers, about 20,000 credits being awarded at New Prague High School in any school year, only about 1.5% of our credits are being awarded in an online fashion, so in that online format. So we're very fortunate about that so far. Again, it's all about meeting our students' needs, but I think we are lower than many, our percentage would be much lower than many districts for whatever reason that is right now.
Well, to me, I certainly don't know, but that speaks to the effectiveness of the teaching in the schools. and should the students are feeling like they are belonging,
Right.
and that the courses are being offered that meet their needs. And again, it could be just that you're putting all the information out and they're deciding what's most suitable. So
Right.
really good.
I don't know if that data is out there, but we will do our best to look for some comparable data, because I think that's a really good metric to see how we're doing, and if I can find something, I'll be happy to bring it to the board.
I know you said it already, but I'm going to say it again. This is going to be extra work for counselors because they literally have to say, okay, this is what's going on, this is what you have to do, and then follow up and follow up and follow up and follow up. And that's not something that you necessarily have to do if you have kids in the building, because the teachers would be following up and things like that. So I want to commend the counselors for the extra work too, and you. Thank you.
All right, with that, I would entertain a motion to approve this MOU for the online learning instructors. And first and seconded. Who are they again? Who was it?
That was,
We'll
It
do
wasn't me.
Mark and for first, and I think Denny was second. We'll do that. Any further any other questions or comments? All right, hearing none. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries 7-0. Next is the MOU for the workforce coordinator role.
All right, I'm going to go back to my notes one more time. This is approving the board approving an employment MOU for Lindsay Schutte, who we've hired as our workplace coordinator. Easier said than done. This is an individual MOU. It was a little bit tricky, and these are Sandy's words, because as a teacher, she gets discretionary leave, and as an individual MOU, she gets sick and personal days. I want to point out, and this would be Sandy speaking, that the board approved Lindsay's hiring, but we're doing this MOU to make sure that this job is something that is worthwhile her doing, per her past rate of pay, new rate of pay, all those different things. And so you've already taken action on Lindsay's employment as the workplace coordinator, which is a new position, which is funded out of the Youth Skills Training Grant by the Minnesota Department of Labor and Industry. Thank you to Mr. Thorstad and his team. But this kind of makes it right and makes it a job that Lindsay is able to do based on her being an employee with us, in the past being a teacher. So I can answer other questions or do my best to answer other questions that you have.
Any questions or comments from anyone?
Nope.
All right, hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve.
So move.
Second.
First and seconded. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, motion carries 7-0. All right, and last on the agenda is the approval of the New Prague Area Education Foundation grants. Denny, do you have this one?
You don't have to. This is.
Oh, this was, okay.
This
this
is
just-
Got it.
not needing a resolution.
Okay,
That's not a resolution.
all right.
I make a motion to approve it.
Okay.
Second.
Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries 7-0. And I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
First and seconded. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed,